Hello, lovers. Welcome to another episode of The Audacious Woman. I am your host, Amy, and I am a women's sexual empowerment coach. And I also support women running soulful, service based businesses in stepping into their most audacious, boldest leadership expression and getting what they want. Which is why today's episode, I'm going to speak about what sex has to do with getting what you want. And this applies to everyone. You'll definitely get some gems in here around business. I'm going to share my own personal story, but this is there's juice in this for everyone. Everyone needs to know this. So, when I talk about getting what you want, what I mean is having your desires met. Not I'm not talking about your sexual desires, although that's included, but like reaching your goals, like getting what you want out of life, your manifestations. So we're going to be talking about manifesting. So what has sex got to do with manifesting? This is sex magic. So if you're new here, this has been like one of my key core practices in building my business. If you're not new here, you probably know this already. So, sex magic is the practice, the art of using our sexual energy, of channeling our sexual energy towards our intentions to supercharge them and bring them into fruition. I know this sounds a bit woo woo and a bit out there, but stay with me because it is. It's just the perfect amount of woo woo. But there's also some really grounded logic in this, which I love. I love cracking people open to this. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about manifestation first. So there are a lot of teachers that teach manifestation. There are whole bodies of work, books, and all sorts. So I'm not here to rewrite the wheel, but let's land sex magic in some context. Manifestation is the process of bringing your vision, your thoughts, your dreams to life, right? They say if you can think it, you can make it happen. Okay. I think there's a better quote that they use, but do you know what I mean? Like, our thoughts become things, our thoughts become our reality. That's us manifesting. And, manifestation can get very woo woo, very, I'll get to that. But we're manifesting all the time. Okay. I wake up in the morning. I think I want a cup of tea. So I go and make myself a cup of tea. My thought is, I want a cup of tea. So I go get the cup of tea. I've manifested it. I know that sounds really simple, but that's exactly what we're working with. What's happening there, though, is there is no doubt in my mind or no doubt in my body. There's no sense of, I don't know if I can get that. I don't know if it's possible. Everything in my reality says that it's possible to me. I've got the tea bags, I've got the milk, I've got access to water, I've got a kettle. So there's no resistance in me to getting it. Okay. Where manifestation gets a little bit complex is when what you want and what you desire feels a bit further away and you don't know how you're going to get there. Okay. Often we stop ourselves from going from for what we want because we don't believe we can get it. Or there might be one part of us that believes it or wants it, but then our subconscious is not on board. It just doesn't believe that it's possible for us. And that will not only create a certain energy that separates you from the energy of what you want, right? Because you have to get an energetic resonance with what you want. You have to be a match for what you want. That's where it gets a little bit like not woo woo, but we're working with like the energetics, the non-tangible. Okay? You have to be an energetic match for what you want, okay? You have to believe you can get it and that you deserve it and it's yours and just and we see this playing out in the world all the time. I love the film The Greatest Showman. Have you ever seen it? Um, Basically, it's about a man that comes from nothing, and he has this vision for a circus and he puts it together. Go and watch it. But that's a process of manifestation. And the songs are very much about manifesting and like I can't remember them, but they're very sort of like, if you can dream it and you believe it, you can get it, right? But also this is why we see people, I want to speak also about privilege. Okay. Really important to understand in manifestation because we're not all born on the same platform, unfortunately. So, say, for example, we're reaching for the stars. Yeah. And there's a ladder to the stars. People are born on different rungs of the ladder. So the further away you are from the stars, the harder it's going to be. And there are systems of oppression for certain people and characteristics and certain ways that we were born that make it harder to get up that ladder. But when you were born on a higher rung, you were born with this belief that you can get certain things, and you do, and they are afforded certain opportunities, and that's part of like a systemic issue and part of their self-belief, right? It's the two. We can't separate the two. But one of the key parts of manifestation, as I'm sharing, is that will get us to where what we want is the unwavering, unshakable belief that we can and that we deserve it and that it's ours. Okay. So a lot of manifestation practices and work focuses on mindset. Okay. But there's so much happening in our bodies. Our body holds memory, our body holds stories. One second, I need a sip of my tea that I manifested. And our body holds our subconscious beliefs, okay? Like etched in the cells of our body. And so working with the body is a really important part of manifestation. Where does sex come in? I'm sure you're asking, okay? All right, let's get to that. So our sexual energy is the energy of creation. It is the energy, drilling it right down. It's the energy that creates humans. It's where we came from, right? It's the energy that is used to create babies. But it's not it's sole use, right? We can use it for other creative pursuits. When that tap is open on our sexual energy, our erotic energy, this is the energy that often creates art, right? It's the energy of expression. It's the energy of dance. It's the energy of paintings. And it's the energy that really ripples throughout the entire fabric of Earth and the universe and our existence. Getting a bit out there here. Whenever I teach this, my eyes always dart over my laptop because I'm sat at a window and there's a huge tree in front of me and the sea is to that side of me. And Earth is so inherently sexual, but erotic. It's like it's so full of life, right? If you consider like our sexual energy as our life force, right? And this is really concepts that I learned and really, really landed in me and make sense now. I learned in tantric teachings. But this sexual energy, this aliveness, this current, this force is the kind of the force of aliveness in everything. So I'm watching like the tree blowing, I'm watching the sea rolling in and out. It's like it creates movement, it creates action, it creates resonance, it creates relationship, right? It's like the sea is in relationship to the sand, the leaves of the tree are in relationship to the wind. Like they're having an erotic dance with each other. Stay with me, stay with me. Okay, so sexual energy is creative energy, okay? And if that feels like something you can't really attach to, let me make it even more relatable. When you are full of pleasure, when you are feeling orgasmic, okay, you feel a little bit invincible, okay? those self-doubts of like, oh, I don't think I can do it, I'm not good enough, like I don't think this is available to me, start to dissipate and melt away. You get out of your head and into your body. So you are just becoming a frequency, an energy, a vibration. And that frequency, that energy, and that vibration is pretty good and powerful. It's like quite explosive, it's supercharged. In France, so I've been told, there is a word. I'm so sorry I forgot to write it down. Otherwise, I would have been able to tell you. But the word they use for orgasm translates to something like little death or ego death, right? That ego self, that I who is like, I can't do this. I'm not worthy. This is not, I don't belong. This isn't available to me. What was I thinking? That dissolves in the moments, those tiny moments when you're just on the cusp of orgasm, and when you orgasm you have an ego death. So you are like the fertile ground, the fertile like space to like assert your manifestations out into the ethers, right? You are in the best possible embodied state to manifest, right? Because you're not anxious, you're not, half the thing is, half of the time going after what we want and manifesting is like we don't feel like we're in a like, an invincible, like I can do this, like amazing, like juiced up state to go after what we want. We're often like, oh, I feel anxious, I feel stressed, I feel tired, da 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 da. Pleasure is your fuel. Pleasure is your medicine. Orgasms are your manifestation tool, right? This is the embodied state, the best embodied state to be in. I'm stressing my dog out, getting so excited. Because you become a resonance, like you are just full of your creative energy. You are full of your natural flow of creative energy. You become super present, out of your head, all those distracting thoughts, all those stories and beliefs that you keep trying to challenge. Gone, forget about them. You're in your body. Okay. And you're in a feel good state. You feel good. You feel like I can do this. You feel fucking invincible. You have just killed off your ego for a few seconds. That is the perfect time to manifest. Let me tell you about my relationship to sex magic. Morty, Morty. Okay. I started my business, Temple of the Feminine. The roots and everything started in 2016, 9 years ago. But I actually came up with the name Temple of the Feminine and landed that as a body of work in 2018. 2018, 2019, I was doing a lot of like personal development. I was like in sacred sexuality communities. I was teaching about sacred sex. I was doing like the odd workshop. I was teaching meditation at a studio in London. I was doing some women's circles. I was doing a lot of hosting things for free in the community that I was part of. And I was working. Like I had my old job in the criminal justice system alongside of this because I was not really making enough money in my business to do it full time. But that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to, but I just didn't know how. Wasn't really sure. Was learning so much, experiencing so much, but I was like, how do I bring this out? Like I just didn't really, I hadn't nailed it, hadn't cracked it. End of 2019, I went to a sex magic ritual. I already kind of knew this practice. I was already doing it, but I went to this sex magic ritual and it was just women and it was in someone's living room. It was like part of the community that I was with. It was in someone's living room. And it was just, it was like really low lights. It was guided, but there was a lot of space to kind of like, be in our own practice. But, picture this like, someone's lounge in London. Really dark, right? But candle lit. There's an altar in the middle, and there's just like women's bodies around. Like you could just see their like silhouettes. And we're kind of in our own practice, and we're going in, and there's this like beautiful playlist supporting our practice. And it's so embodied, and it's so, this kind of level of practice is very different to what I would describe as like masturbation, where it's like, let's just bring ourselves to orgasm. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but there's like this more like, it's quite sort of like meditative, almost a bit hypnotic like experience where you drop so out of your head. You're in this kind of like energetic field, and it gets a little bit plant medicine-y. If you've ever taken plant medicine, you'll know what I mean. But you feel like you're like connecting on like some different plane. And like every so often, I would open my eyes and just see like this, like the outline of like these beautiful women, and like I felt like I was in like this ancient goddess time. And my intention for that sex magic ritual was, how do I do this? How do I create this business? It's okay, baby. How do I create this business? How do I make a financially sustainable business from everything I've learned? Like, help me. That was my intention. Like, guide me, give me some, give me the answers. So anyway, I had this beautiful ritual, and it's not like answers were coming to me at the time. I was just sort of like in this like ethereal, like ancient priestess, goddess time. And I was just wowed. And I came out of it and I was like, this is what I need to teach women. And then the next day, I put an event out for Sex Magic in person in London. And at that time, I was like, is my community even ready for that? Like, is that a bit like much? But do you know what? Actually, I didn't think that. I did. That's the funny thing. I'm surprised at myself, even looking back at myself now. I don't think I had any resistant thoughts. I just put it on and it sold out. And I did it again and it sold out. And then 2020 came around. I think I probably did it again and it sold out. Can you imagine? We're in this like studio in central London. I remember the studio, I think it's closed down now. It's called Benkenbow. And it was like, the studio's like in the basement. And we're like in this basement, like practicing sex magic. And the way that I teach it is like, you can, like, I'm like full permission to touch yourself wherever you want to touch yourself, make it just an energetic practice, like, but just bring pleasure into your body. I also work with it in ways to remove blocks and resistance that's there. So it's not about just like forcing pleasure into the body, but meeting the body where it's at and clearing the body for sexual energy to fill, to kind of like rise and to be channeled. It's really, bear with me. There'll be no editing on this podcast. um it's a really, really beautiful practice. I won't give too much away as to what I do, but it's not as simple as me just holding the space. Like it's a whole journey that I guide. It's next level. It's next level. um, so I was holding these rituals, and I'm laughing now because it was a big jump for me to just go, let's all meet, like from teaching meditations. I think I did a talk on sacred sexuality, a couple of talks, to then be like, let's just all get together in a studio and come and manifest our dreams. I really love that for me. I really am the audacious fucking woman. So I did that, and then lockdown happened in 2020. And I was like, oh, fuck, because I just started putting these things on in person. But even then I was like, well, how many can I put on, to make enough money to like live in London? And then, so I started putting them online every 2 weeks. And I just started getting a lot of attention on my Instagram. My Instagram just like blew up. I also then started running weekly, feminine embodiment classes as well, which were like the step before, if you wanted to taste before you went to Sex Magic. I was featured in Vice magazine. They actually came to a Sex Magic ritual. That was before we got shut down. I was featured in Bricks magazine as well for Sex Magic. It just blew me the fuck up. And I was using the practice too. Every time I had an offering, every time I had a thought about something to put out, I would take it to my bed and sex magic about it. Because, as well, another thing about this practice is like it really lifts your energy. Okay. And I would use it, take this, be open to receiving this when I say it, to like make love to what I was offering, to feel so good about it, to be so connected to it, to be so like, and these are parts of my business, but overall my business, like this is my lover, my babe, my like I that like to hold that much care and passion, and to feel like almost to rewire my relationship to business, like this is good, like this is really good, was felt. It was a felt energy. It was really it was being mirrored back to me. It was being manifested. Yeah, I was like, wow, everyone was so on board. Like my Instagram grew really rapidly over lockdown, bearing in mind we were all, sat at our computers and laptops and phones. One second, I'm putting my baby down. My other baby. Um, but it really, using sex magic super supercharged my business. It was the energetics that I needed, and there is the some of you may already work with the energy, and you may already understand the energetics behind manifestation, getting what you want, and also like building a business. Okay. Like particularly if you are the person that runs the business rather than having a product based business, if it's you, your energy is going to be one of the most impactful things to the success of your business. A lot of the people that I gravitate towards to work with, that I want to part my money with, to kind of work to be with, unless they've got like a product that I just know I need, like here's how to, create a funnel or something like that. Even then I would still want to work with someone I resonate with. But, if I'm like going to be working one to one with someone, I'm going to care more about their energy. Like I'm going to care more about them than like their sales page, I suppose. Those things are important. But okay, in terms of business, like, your energy, like and not just your energy, but the energetics of what you put out matter. Do you care about what you offer? Do you feel juiced up about what you offer? Why the hell would anybody else give a shit if you don't give a shit? Do you know what I mean? Like it's not like it's not going to be energetically in your offer, in your message, in the things that you post. I know that I've posted, I've offered, I've done things when I'm not energetically into it, I'm not energetically aligned, and it's obvious the difference. It's obvious the feedback. I even feel that bit now looking back, even in like the last year of running my business, where I felt like I was sort of not resonating with certain things, like the energy just wasn't there. It wasn't the same. Which is like, I'm coming back to my sex magic practice in a big way. And you can do it in like big rituals where you really go for it, but also just bringing pleasure into your life in a day-to-day basis, using pleasure as like a bit of a resource, a tool to kind of like, get yourself into that, energetic alignment, get yourself into like feeling good. And it's not about bypassing what's there. It's about, supporting yourself and being a master of your energy and your energetic experience, and being able to shift your energetic experience whilst not gaslighting or bypassing, right? I love to use the term microdose pleasure. If you don't have time for like a whole session to da 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 da, like how can you microdose drops? How can you like take a moment to like, I just, again, looking out my window, like sometimes I look at the sea and I'm just like, oh, so sexy. But let it be like felt, like, soften your body, like breathe it in, like look at something that makes you feel expansive and like, God, this world is magnificent. Because there are plenty of things to look at that will have you feeling the opposite way. And like I say, we don't gaslight, deny, or override them, but you've also got to microdose the good stuff as well, microdose the pleasure. So this is how sex can help you to get what you want. This can also be practiced in partnership, but you both have to be on the same energetic plane. Um, but I really like to use it for my own intentions and my own feel good. And I really like to link things into the kind of collective well-being is maybe the best way I can describe it. Well resourced, well pleasured, well beeped. Women do good in the world. Okay, it's like that phrase, we've heard it so many times it can feel a bit cliche, but you can't give from an empty cup. We know this, but it's just so true, right? And I work with so many amazing heart-centered women, and I just see them just like wanting to give out to the world and wanting to do good. And I'm like, babe, I've unless you're full, unless you're resourced, you're gonna have to park that because you will burn the fuck out. Yeah. So being in pleasure is not selfish. It's actually a resource, a tool that is going to allow you to radiate out, to give more, to be more of a force of change, of love, of peace, of whatever it is that you're here to do. It is going to support you to be in your pleasure. Okay? So go get it. Go get it. Go get more of what you want and go and be the woman that you came to be in this world with a dash of pleasure and audacity. Thank you for being here. If you've got to the end of this, oh my God, love you. Please subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. And drop a comment. Let's have a chat. I love to know who's here because it doesn't tell me. So yeah, until the next episode. Mwah.